Good evening, salam, and this is Ramala Hubb'Allah with a new masterclass, Perfected. I regret turning up a little later than planned. I am having a stressed event with my kidney. You can see my face a bit swollen, and I thought I might not be able to make it today, but I feel good enough to turn up, and here I am. Thank you for waiting for me, and I am going to talk about Perfected, the antidote to perfectionism, which leads to and comes from anxiety and the urge to be perfect, the urge to do everything 100% right. Now, in as long as our doing things really good, excellence comes from a place of contentment, having mastered the art of, and science of whatever it is that we're doing, and then a place of knowing that if we mess up a little bit or anything that goes wrong, then that's fine. Like we've done our best, and things happen, life happens, and we're so relaxed that we're not even thinking, "What if this happens? What if that happens?" And then explaining ourselves as that. And if you're fortunate enough to be in an environment where other people understand this and have an understanding of life happens, then life would be glorious. Now, if others do not understand it, we can, through our conduct with ourselves and through our attitude, begin asserting an atmosphere of and an unwritten contract of it's okay. And how we do it is that we do our best. We're as proactive, as integrated, as authentic, as real, as honest, as sincere, as good as possible, as doing right as possible, as turning up on time as possible, as um, doing the basic courtesies of being alive as possible. So we tick the boxes. Once we tick the boxes themselves take care of us to a great extent. If we, I mean, it's ironic that I'm saying it having turned up late in time. And I'm kind of bad with that. I don't know why. I'm kind of anxious of turning up on time and looking good. I think I'm afraid of looking perfect because I've been accused of being very perfect and cold hearted. But I'm going to try and overcome that anxiety. There are many anxieties to come over. But one of the lessons that I teach myself and one of the things that I say is that do it regardless. Do it regardless of your panic attacks. Do it regardless of what people are going to think. Do it regardless of your flaws. Just do it. And when you keep on doing it, when you keep on turning up, you will become perfect it. Let's start this masterclass. So I'm going to try and calm down a little bit. I've been having a very hard time breathing. I will let you know that. Life after COVID for most of us on this planet is. My daughter has helped me set up this board. And let me see. I think we need to maybe turn off one of these lights. And can you see? And now we can see the board. Now we can see the board. All right. All right. Today is Feb the hopefully 20. Okay, it's 24th, not 23rd, as I thought. And let me take you to the whiteboard. I have written here, it's in Arabic language. Auzu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. These are statements that I am learning to say these days before I start my work. Muslim statements that mean I seek the protection of God from the devil or any sorts of distractions, as I translate devil to be. And Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, I start in the name of Allah, who is the most merciful and beneficent. This is a statement that Muslims say before we start work, and I'm wanting to be in protection of God for a good reason. Don't ask me why, but things are going wonky with a lot of people all over the world, and for me, the safety comes from my own character, and as far as I can turn up with, in as far as I can stay integrated and do the right thing, when and how I can do it, and then literally seeking the protection of God. So we start. Perfect it. If you notice, I have spelled it as this perfect it. First of all, what is perfect it? I'm going to say two things. One of them is theological. I am feeling very theological these days, as are quite a lot of people. So I am riding on this train. And as I was saying to somebody else that I was discussing it with, that it feels like, and I know there are people who believe in God and people who don't believe in God, who were like a little bit irked with theological references. So was I. I was like, don't assign and attribute everything to God in a way that it sounds like you're being lazy. Like, of course, I'm a believer in God. I've always been pretty hardcore person, but I'm like, I don't like it when I get the feeling that this person is not doing anything themselves. Now, that would be very nice if it's coming from a place where people are, I don't know, in some kind of meditative state when they can miraculously see everything happen from God. Perhaps it is my ego that dislikes it. Like, God, there have been times in my life where I have been very irritated that everything is sort of taking place on its own. And I've been a bit like, God, like you're doing everything yourself. Um, so how do you feel okay with it? I realized that maybe we just need to move our bodies. In the culture that I live in, the brown people culture in Indo-Pakistan, we don't move our bodies. So when things happen miraculously, which they're happening anyway, if you're not doing some participation in it, you feel a bit like a loser and a bit like a cheat. But if you're participating in it, you're getting up in the morning, you're saying hello to people, at least doing the due courtesies of being alive and being a human, you feel good about it. I guess that is the thing. Turning up. What do I mean by perfect it? I mean a couple of things. First of all, you aren't perfect yourself. You are made perfect by a hand other than yours. Now, we can use the short word God for it, or we can use a philosophical approach. That it is events in your life and things that come up to you that shape you and challenge you. Let's put it that way, right? So it's a better way of saying God. Because if you just say God, it's a bit lazy though. Because like, oh, God did everything. Though God did, but I would like to talk to people who could at least explain that a little better. Because then that sounds like you're singing a praise of God. Like you really know what God did. And I would like to have that little bit of um, ego satisfaction where I at least kind of know what God is doing. Though I do know there comes a time of ecstasy where it's kind of like you're in the middle of love making, you don't know what is going on. But again, there is some, I don't know what happened to me. And then there was like, oh, I was overwhelmed by what happened to me. And it led to a sort of synchronization of senses so ecstatic that I forgot what was happening to me. That is a kind of immersive lovemaking, being affected, being perfected, witnessing that I would like. The one that you feel in every cell of your body. You know what is going on, and then you're like knocked out. Wow, that was a blast. Once again, I think we reach these states when we are sort of alert, we are aware, we are paying attention, we're there. So let me just explain in writing what perfected means. In this instance of me talking about it, what do I mean by it? All right, let me choose one of my pens. What do I mean by perfected? Hold on. And let me flip the camera. Hokey pokey. We do the flip, and it hasn't flipped. Here we go. Perfected. What I mean by perfected, hold on. Yeah, is that we are made perfect. Over time and through events and our responses to the events. One, we are fashioned. We are fashioned. We are made. We are put into place. We are taken from one thing to another. We are taken from one event to another. We are taken from one knowing to another. We are taken from one instance to another, like literally one knowing to another. And we are taken from one stage to another. We are taken from one stage of becoming somebody to another stage of becoming a different somebody. And at all these stages, we have a choice. We can go up, we can become better, or we can also choose to be in a state of decline. And that can happen through being aware or being not aware. We better be aware of what is happening, and that is when we can hold on. This is just February 24th. Um, when we are aware of what is happening, we feel more involved and feel less cheated. And if we have cheated ourselves, we know what we've done. And if we have been good to ourselves, then we can ascribe some kind of credit to ourselves. That, yeah, I was involved. I was here. I did this. And I was with God or with events. If you don't want to say God, if you don't want to believe in God, or if you believe in God, but you say that this is a lazy approach, which I also often say to people, just saying God did it, that doesn't explain things to me. That doesn't give me the immersion, the knowledge that I'm seeking. That doesn't give me the thrill that I need, or it doesn't, we could do better. Hold on. So let's bring it back to my face. So when we are involved with our knowing, with our doing, with our awareness, with our presence, with our willpower, and then also our political power. Like we have a consent in the situation. We feel like we are more involved. Like what happened here, we were a part of it. Hold on, let me just try to fix things here a little bit and hinge my camera a little better. Yeah. So we are fashioned by events. So it is our awareness that makes us feel like we are becoming something. So let me put the word awareness on the board. Here we go on the board, right? We are fashioned event by event, response by response, and we become hopefully better. So we have a choice to go up or we have a choice to go down. So it is our consent, it is our awareness, it is our involvement, awareness, and will and active involvement that makes us feel like we have become something in the process. Active involvement. Because of things just keep on happening to us, we probably aren't even aware of who we are. Are we good? Are we bad? Are we this? Or are we that? People can say something to us, we can believe it or we not believe it, or we just like dumbing our way down the river of life, which some people are okay with, but I'm not. And the people who are turning up for this loss are more likely people who are dissatisfied with life just going on without us knowing what's happening in life, like without taking ownership, without feeling it. Let me see. Yeah. So your consent, your awareness, your active involvement make you something which you can feel. That is perfected. And the other thing is pretty much something that I have covered, but again, I will say it, that you become perfected in movement, right? It is a ongoing thing. You're not perfect in the moment and always will be and will never change. You are in movement, movement, in action. You are perfected, perfected in action and in movement. Okay, so we got two things down. We are made perfect over time and through events. Same thing as in movement. Involved, active, aware movement, events fashion us, our responses, our character. So I'm going to put it as a separate point. Our character, response, conduct, my pronunciation could be different from yours, behavior, choices, morality. The other day I saw somebody talking about like morality, does it even matter? I said, why would you even ask that? Do you have a goat in the game? Like, do you not want to be moral? There are a lot of people who want to avoid this oncoming thing about accountability and responsibility that is becoming required in our world. And they're like, oh, do we even need morality or something? It's like these good old fashioned things that we've been doing for so long are no longer working. They're no longer relevant. The world is becoming more responsible, more accountable, more perfected. And you better be part of the game because we have accountability systems coming up. The world has sort of like, when you are on social media being watched by so many people, you do become automatically accountable. You're like, oops, I'm being watched. Oops, I'm being seen. Oops, this person saw me. Oops, I'm being matched against this person. The algorithms are matching me. People are matching me. I'm matching myself against this person, that person. I have to put the board in front of my door for a more perfect angle of light. Let me move it for better visuals and yeah, better contrast. Here we go. This is how we made perfected, moment by moment, inch by inch, improvement by improvement. I am going to, in this session, give you certain techniques to help you overcome your anxiety and give you certain work techniques that will make your work better and help you even do like actual projects with better ease of mind. So let's jump on to that, right? Let me take a screenshot of that. We are made perfect over time and all that. Okay, I've taken a screenshot of what I've got on the board. And yeah, I am going to give you a few techniques to teach you how to more easily do your projects, right? And these techniques come from certain mindsets of ease and being more relaxed that allow us to use those techniques, give up our culture, collective culture, and personal ethos of anxiety, being very uptight and very anxious and scared and getting on each other's nerves and asking others to get on our nerves and feeling little and feeling small and feeling like I didn't do this, I didn't do that, I should do more, come do this with me, blah, blah, I gotta sell you more, you gotta sell me more, I'm sorry you didn't turn up, and blah, 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 blah. So, how can we have a culture of less anxiety and more easier doing? Okay, let me put that on the board. Ways of working with lesser anxiety and more getting perfected, getting perfected in movement. I'm going to put a method down. I call it Wiki. So, you know what Wiki is? Many of you would know, for those who are not familiar, or those who haven't really thought about how wikis work, I'll tell you that. So, you know this website Wikipedia? Like, Wiki is in Wikipedia? As in Wikipedia. What happens on a wiki? A wiki is a website that gets updated over time. Gets updated over time. Iteratively, we can say. So there are pluses and there are minuses and there are multiplications as well, maybe divisions as well. All right, it keeps on changing. It keeps on changing, editing, better and better. And the algorithm also changes. Algorithm changes. Now, what's algorithm in Wikipedia? I'm not talking about computer algorithm. By algorithm, I mean the thinking about what we should do changes. Like, okay, previously we would, for example, on a Wikipedia page, we'd say Dalai Lama, for example, we'd write down Dalai Lama on a page as Dalai Lama, and somebody would say, can we use His Excellency? And the Wikipedia code would be, no, you can't use His Excellency, because the people of the world outside of his faith system and belief system, whatever, do not see him as Excellency. You call him Dalai Lama, maybe you call him by his name. I don't remember what his name is, so it's and then the algorithm or the thinking, in this case, it's not computer algorithms, like little editors they're sitting there, they're like, they make up a standard and they say, well, now we can call him His Excellency. As a Muslim, I had a debate on Wikipedia once. What we Muslims do is when we name the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, we say peace be upon him. And they would remove peace be upon him. They would say, well, we don't believe in it. I said, well, there are people who believe in it. So whose belief makes a space here? And then I thought of the example of His Holiness, His Excellency, or His Holiness. I think it's not His Excellency, His Holiness, right? His Holiness is Dalai Lama. And I said it's, His Excellency Prince Charles, and who thinks like Prince Charles should be His Excellency because of a royal protocol, and there are people who do not want to see him as king. But because the place that he originates from, he's called His Excellency, assign him the title or from the culture from which he's originated. That sounds better. Instead of there being a clash of cultures, give them the name that their culture gives. Nobody else has to agree to it, because that page on Wikipedia doesn't say you have to agree to what is being said. So Dalai Lama is His Holiness Dalai Lama. Muhammad Sallallahu is, Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. It's kind of like you are in United Nations and everybody's wearing their own costumes. Nobody else has to like it. To me, the costume of one country could be absolutely comical, impossible to wear, but then it's like looking at plants. Rose would smell a certain way. The flesh-eating plant would be another way. So this was a better way, but I wasn't able to articulate that. Excuse me, Wikipedia, and my edits obviously got kicked out because the person with the loudest voice wins, and in that case, the culture with the loudest, opinions wins. But I'm pretty sure that there's more inclusion in Wikipedia since the days that I last saw that debate, which was in 2025. That was 19 years ago. But this is the way I would do it. This is the understanding that I reached, and I think it was a very inclusive understanding that everybody, you do you. This, to me, it was like you do you. That was the algorithm that I came with. You do you, and I don't have to agree with it. And that should, I don't have to agree. And that should, plus that should go without saying. It's exactly like wearing your own costume in United Nations. You're wearing your, African something. I'm wearing my Indian something. Somebody's wearing some Japanese something. Now, if people come up with something that the rest of us might consider a little awkward, we can talk about it. I would, however, still say, if you were to ask me, let them do them. Let them suffer. Like, I don't know if somebody came up with a very constrictive way of, put something up on their feet. Imagine we were in some kind of United Nations 150, 200 years ago. And I mean, I don't want to bring this up, but some Chinese person came up with, like a woman came up with feet restricting shoes. I wouldn't shame her. In my view, a more organic way of communicating a difference is just like a garden or a plant. Like a plant has its own power to communicate its power to the other plant or the animals, and they shift their behavior by what plant A does, right? So it is said, by the way, for example, when bees dance around flowers, they smell different or something. And when the flowers obviously smell different, the bees come, right? So you shift yourself in order to shift the other. That is a better way of doing things. So I've really gone deep into this algorithm thing, but this is how it is. Now, what is Wikipedia again? We'll come back to Wiki and what is a Wiki approach. So, can you help me pick up the markers that have fallen to the floor, please? Thank you. Okay, my daughter's helping me. What is a Wiki approach? It is like iteratively changing something. One of the ways that you can apply the Wiki approach, and how do we apply it? Apply is, for example, when you edit a document. Exactly what they do in Wikipedia, like edit a document or edit a thought. How I put this to work, for example, is when I design my websites, I put a lot of like dump on a paper, on a page. And then I go back iteratively, I change things. Makes it easy for me. First, without getting scared about what this should look like, the heading should look like, what the color should look like start putting dumps, data dumps here. Start populating, as they say, start populating the page, start putting stuff there. And then if I feel like it, maybe half the page is still like rough words. And then I feel like it, and I feel like it, and I'm saying, this is rough, but I'm going to make this look good. I'm sorry if you can hear me breathing heavily, hardly, because my body is like having a hard time. So what we can do is we can give headings to this part, and then this part can like be made better, more perfected, and this still dumb, and you can come back to it, and you could be working on a different page. Often this is better for kind of behind the scenes work. But you can also agree in a team to work this way. You could say, okay, we are arranging a room, for instance, or a party, and I've got some stuff here, and I've got some stuff here, and I've got stuff here, and one person starts arranging the stuff here, the other person, like I'm working iteratively. I'm going all over the place. Like if you see some of these room makeover videos on like fast forward, you will see this person put stuff here and then this paint this wall a little bit and then they set some things up like the garden and then they come back and they paint another thing because this wall, the first coat is drying and then you're planting the garden, then you come back and you do this and you keep on changing that. So don't be afraid to do that. And don't be afraid to not just use this as a certain technique in actually making wikinomic work. Like wikinomic would be like a wikinomic, okay? Become wikinomic. But use this as an attitude. Like I'm improving parts of myself. Have this as a mindset. I don't have to become perfect today. My weight is improving a little bit. Okay, if you're improving your habits, for example, then you're like, my weight is improving a little bit and my speaking is becoming better and I am, hold on, keeping my promises. I am earning better. So if you're doing like a whole like a whole life rehaul, you're like, okay, I'm getting a little better here, getting a little better here, a little better here, a little better here. And these things are going to support each other. So iteratively, I'm going to go and improve this, a bit of this, a bit of that, a bit of this, a bit of that. Whatever makes you feel most supported, whatever I could do with most ease first, I would do that. So that thing is in place. And then that would go to support the rest of me. Okay. Try to strike some kind of balance. Balance doesn't mean that you equal these things. Balance means it should stabilize. It should look good. Like don't do one of these things if you can help it. But circumstances differ. People really know what the circumstances are, right? So some circumstances could be very peculiar. You'd have to work on one thing, but try to keep on balancing it if you can. This is a economic approach. You improve a little bit of this, you improve a little bit of that, you can come back to it later, and you can communicate that with people too. But first of all, communicate that to yourself. Let your own self know what it is that you're doing. You need to be sure in your own heart as to what I'm doing. If some of you, like me, tend to forget, who have a forgetfulness problem, an attention problem, because of whatever reason, because your mind is full of programming, or it hasn't been programmed with the right thing, or you're being gaslit, or you're being distracted, or you've watched too much media, or you have a brain fog system, write things down somewhere. Use lists. Don't be afraid of your lists. Keep on improving your lists. You can do that, right? Don't be afraid of your lists. And don't be afraid of your own commitments. Maybe I should give that. I didn't write that down, but I am going to write that down here today Uh, don't be afraid of your own words and commitments. Hold on. How do we find that? I'm sorry. I need a. Okay. And commitments. Know that you can change them. That you can change them. But obviously, your values come into play and how you communicate that matters. In all this, please communicate. Communicate with yourself, communicate to the other. If you edited and changed one thing, you can go and tell your partners and stakeholders in your life, look, here, this is what I've done today. I've changed something. This is how I'm going to do things. Communication is vital and important. You state yourself first. Try to get agreements later. And don't tell people, please tell me what to do, unless you're like a 2-year-old kid. After the age of 2 or 4, you should not be asking people, tell me what to do. Right? Or unless you're like dealing with a nuclear bomb or something. I'm sorry, I shouldn't be saying these words in a Facebook Live, but unless you're dealing with like something highly technical where you need to be told what to do. Otherwise, just listen to your own self and be able to tell yourself things. People aren't going to make your decisions for you, and they shouldn't be. Because unless the decision originates from you and acceptance is in you, you will never own it and you will break it. And I'm saying that from good experience. Yep, with relationships, but also with work. People are always like, you tell me what to do. Like, well, man, you're never going to keep your promise. But if you're keeping it, you never know. I will always be afraid you're going to break it because you never owned it. I'm not the one to tell you. And if you were never told that you own your experiences or you don't feel good with it, that's a really big problem. Right? That is when you're going to start getting brittle and will break your promises. Like, you can't be perfected. It's like you are a table with broken legs. Nothing can be put on you. If you don't own yourself, you need to own your own decisions and your mindset and your body. Own yourself. Say it's me who did it. That person made me do it. Whoever made you do it, you are the one who's doing it. That is an understanding that will help you. Even if you're a slave, even if somebody's making you do things, you're the one who's accepting to do it, and you're accepting to do it because you're a slave. So there are two parts to it. Your body is doing it because you have to do it. This is the body part. This is the brain. It's saying, the brain and heart is saying, this is not the right thing to do. However, I have to do it because I don't have a choice. This is something that you have to understand. You have to understand your condition that you are in. I'm a slave, therefore I have to do what they're asking me to do. However, if I want to escape my slavery, I better keep my eyes open and peeled at opportunities. Whenever I can run, I better run. Okay. So this is the wiki-economic approach in which um, you improve iteratively, gets updated iteratively over time. Once again, I'm going to make a reel of it, right? So for the reel, we go here. Imperfected, one of our techniques is ways of working with lesser anxiety and getting more perfected in movement. One of the approaches is being Wikinomic. Update things iteratively. A little bit of this, a little bit of that. You will not understand what's written on the board because I explained that in the longer video. If you're watching a reel, watch the Masterclass Perfected and sign up for my upcoming course. But this is how we do it. Okay, so this is a Wikinomic approach. Now I'm going to switch to my mug while we wipe this off. Holy moly. Let me do it. What do you think I'm going to do next? Holy moly. Should we take a break? This should be good. Let me sing you a song while we clear this board. La 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 la. I wish I had an assistant. Sophie, I am not able to wipe this off properly. Can you hold the legs of this thing? Hold on, my kid is going to help me. So what we have to do is that we have to lift this. Hold on, kiddo. Hold on. Listen. This thing has to be saved. This thing has to be saved. That has to be saved. Baki, we wipe it all off.
Like,
this is going to remain, the date is going to remain, and this is going to remain. Okay?
Okay. And what about the,
I'll show you what's going to remain. This is going to remain. This is going to remain. And that is going to remain. Yeah. The rest you take it off. So my kid is helping me wipe up the board, but this is the economic approach. One of the things I'm going to remind you again, when you start your journey of being perfected, maybe write down a manifesto saying this is how I'm switching from anxiety and perfectionism and being perfect to being perfected. And I'm going to allow other people to do so. Write down a little manifesto, make photocopies, and share it with your family. Make it maybe email. Like I'm beginning to understand the value of communicating the changes that have transpired in our brain to others and give them time to sink in, right? Give yourself, look into the neurology and the science of change. How long does it take for things to change, and keep on practicing them. The way I see change happening, the best way is, you know how we mix paint? So you have this big bucket of white paint, and then you drip a little bit of blue paint in it, then you start mixing it, then it becomes like sky blue or something, and then you drip a little bit of red paint in it, and then you mix it, it becomes lavender or purple, a light purple or something. Thank you. You don't have to say it. So yeah, it becomes purple. So you mix the new habit in, you mix the new thing in, and if you want to outweigh the white, you don't have to talk. I'm sorry. Okay, so it's okay. My kiddo is upset. I'm sorry. I'm like, you don't have to tell me that you're taking a second, but I get it totally. Okay, but it's okay. So my little kiddo is helping me, and let me. Let's say hello to my little assistant, Sophie, who's not very happy at being told not to choo. Poor little stage manager who's changing the stage. But they do it quietly. Do you know that? On the movie set or something, they change things quietly without being seen. That is the art of it. I'll teach you that, okay? I'll teach you the art of changing things while somebody's making a movie or something. Quietly do it so you're not seen. Teaching things to my kid. So the other technique is, I think we have to draw it with a cloth. Okay?
Yeah, first.
Okay. So yeah, props and props and props. So I'm very excited to have a whiteboard like a little teacher. When I was a kid, I used to go to the roof and start writing on the wall with a chalk back in the 1980s and be the teacher. And I'm feeling so teachery again. So you need to do it clearly, quickly. Okay. So yeah, and I'm feeling back in the groove again with this thing. So I'm very happy to be here with you all, teaching you these master classes, and these are going to turn into courses. So these are going to turn into longer courses. You can do immersions with me. I have a website coming up called Hubb'Allah, and you'll be seeing courses in there. And then I'll have a website of my own where I will be teaching courses and classes and leading you to containers. And then we will have this is my dream, have a standalone website where courses from various teachers will be taught on various subjects of interest in the 21st century, where we are going to be focusing on the craft design economy. I'll take this side. Thank you. Okay. Thank you, baby. Okay. I will teach you how to do this thing better, right? Okay. So we're going to jump to the second technique of feeling more perfected, but not perfect. with lesser anxiety and more flexibility in our approach, and letting events make us perfect, let God make us perfect in the moment, whichever way you want to put it, right? You want to put it the sciencey way, you want to put it the religious way, the enactment of it is the same. It is just where your focus, like inner focuses, and that I really haven't got much to do with. I don't want to do it, except for when I work with people of faith and they want to ascribe things to God. And even then, I will say, like, don't become scary book thumpers unless we are in times and events like our events and times where everybody's feeling a little scared. So I can understand when people, including myself, feel the fear of God in our bones and want to like literally assign everything to God because we're feeling so scared to say anything otherwise. Hold on, I'm picking up the cloth and just making the board dry. So here we are. Change of props has taken some time. We go to our next idea of how can we be perfect it. The other idea that I have, the technique that I'm going to give to you is flex. Be flexible. And plus, I will always say, communicate it. It's okay approach. It's okay plus excellence. Let me show you how it goes. Back in grade 3, I had a very nice teacher, maths teacher, who really knew her stuff. And one day, I don't know how or why, somehow I hadn't done my homework. She was this really perfect lady in the 1980s, very stylish, very fashionable, in a city where a lot of women were not fashionable, not stylish, and not very modern. And she scared me because she was so good. First of all, I think it was the way she conducted herself with a lot of flair and style and looked good, that her body and language and her mastery of her subject communicated. She really means it. She's good. She will not take anything less than the best. So I turned up in her class, having not done my homework, and she was collecting homework from everybody. She comes to my desk, and I was a little kid, right? So I just said to her, she's like, "Where's your homework?" And I said, "Miss Nyla," I remember her name. I said, "I haven't done my homework. I don't have it." She said, You haven't? That's okay." That's all she said. She's like, "You haven't done your homework? It's okay. Bring it next time." I was like, I didn't expect that answer. And I don't think I was going to fail her. No, but that was my conduct. I know there are people, it makes me very sad. There are people like, who cares? And there are people out there in the world who are also going to say, well, that's the person I'm going to screw. That has happened to me as well. For that, I'm going to say, if you're the recipient of that, you better be ready that there are people, like a 5 to 8% on the margin, who are going to break your heart. And what's going to hold you together is that you have acted in integrity in your life. Because if you have, it might be a little easier to let go of it. But if you've acted out of integrity or not knowing, that'll be difficult. You will not be able to hold anything, whether you granted good things or bad things. So it is your own character and integrity that matters. For that, you need skill, knowledge, preparation, awareness. Okay? That is what's going to help you in your journey of staying perfected, staying right, staying centered on the path, and being kept together, kept intact, kept in one place. Not getting so shattered and broken that you have to restart from the right start. No, we can do it, but it hurts. It hurts to let go of our world and start a new world. Right? Speaking from experience here, let's go back to being flexible. What does flexi mean? The flex approach is when you are like, okay, we are going to do this thing within this time frame, or we can have this price for this thing. I'm trying this approach. I'm letting myself accept a range of behavior, a range of quotes, a range of pricing, etc. One of the ways that I practice flexible approaches, I had a signature in my email at one time. It said, well, email is responded to in human time. Now, what happens is that often when we get off the tracks of absolute perfection, like I expect you to respond to me within 15 or 5 minutes or something, is that we just totally fall off. Like, now I don't know, I'm not going to respond to this email. It's just that we have to develop another natural place where we feel responsible enough to respond to the other person. Not in 5 minutes. You don't have to pick the phone on 3 rings or whatever, but you are going to pick it. Okay, but you can give yourself maybe some kind of limit, like, okay, don't let it ring over 5 rings, but you know, so have a flexible approach. Like from 3 to 5 rings, I need to pick it. If it goes worse than that, something's going. Like have an internal kind of barometer. Like it should bob around a little bit. That gives you flexibility. Don't make it like fixed and rigid. Give yourself a scale. But if things go very off of that, then you have to check, like, am I even floating in the right waters, or do I have the right parameters, or what's happening? Is it me that's wrong? Is it the other people that's wrong? Do I need to communicate something to them? Or do I need to keep on sticking to my standards no matter what people throw at me? Because that also happens sometimes. Like, you can be a teacher in class and the kids are turning up late, and you're like, yeah, this is the time at which you turn up, and that's it. There are parents who try to teach their children to pray, and the children are not praying. And they turn up for their prayers. And then one day the child is like, okay, my parents is standing up for prayer, so I have to stand up for prayer as well. My parent is cooking, and I need to turn up and help them in the kitchen. So you don't say, well, you didn't get up in the morning, so I'm not getting up in the morning as well. Or you can have a thing with your spouse, and you say you're going to help me in the kitchen or something, and you turn up. But the flexible approach isn't like, oh, I started working, and that's me just working, not you're not going to come in. You just make room for them. You said, okay, here's your part of the task. It's waiting for you. I've started my work. And when they join, you can say, well, come in here. This is your task. If eventually you didn't turn up, I was at the end going to attend to it, but here's your task for you. And you can get up in the morning, you can tell them, well, I'm going to the kitchen. I will be taking care of the cereals, etc. You'll be doing the toast. So I'll be waiting for you. They'll be right there in the corner, the toaster and the bread. Okay, and you can call them like, hey honey, I've started my work, so I'm waiting for you. And then you go on with your work. Don't go after them and don't like stonewall them either. Be a bit flexible and keep communicating it. In terms of receiving things, you set the tone by how you receive things, right? So you say to your students, well, here's a report you have to submit. Well, what do we do? So I will send this to you on Monday, and I will start receiving it back from next Monday to Wednesday. Not on Monday or by Monday. From Monday to Wednesday, and this is the time period of submission of the report. Now, first, the one who comes first, maybe I'll give them a reward. Or maybe this is just like without any competition, without any extra rewards, without any devaluations. You submit the report from Monday till Wednesday. That's the time. People take your time. It's just nothing in the world that demands that you've got to do things by the certain time. Unless you want to send a rocket to NASA, in which I would say you would build flexibility in the stages leading up to it. And then say, okay, we're launching on 23rd November 2024. Before that, do your rego. We can still do that. I mean, not going to go into the details of how we can build flexibility in leading up to something. As a civilization, we paid a lot of credit to doing things at a certain time and by that. But in the end, we haven't really achieved anything out of it except like a mark of pride for the nation that nobody actually really eventually cares about or benefits from, if you really ask me. Nobody cares. It's just people have decided we did this thing first, we did this thing later, or whatever. Okay, but your nations are still dying and their people are still hungry. Do what matters, what really matters. What you should build in flexibility about is like people are not going to go hungry in this country. Not who flew the rocket first, because we're going to look the better ones. We're going to look better than Russia. We're going to look better than America. We're going to look better than China. Nobody gives an F. They just decide to give an F. Two things that don't matter. This is what I'm saying. One of the things I would say is like, ease down on your arbitrary values. Let me write that down on the board. Examine your. This is something that just occurred to me. Examine your rigidity. Examine your rigidity, your values, and their basis. Ask who cares and why. What is your legacy? Like, what is it that you're leaving behind? Like, who cares and why do they care? Why do they care that you flew the first rocket? Like, and there are people who are like, oh, didn't go to the moon. It was like a theater. I've heard Google's AI has been assessing the photos of America's landing on the moon. I always disliked people who said it was fake. I was like, you guys, you're not sciencey enough. And then Google's AI has apparently examined the video and says it's fake. And there's a video of Putin on YouTube. I hope to God it's true, because now AI is making up things, and he's like watching. It's like interesting. A very nice guy. I like him. When I listened to his communication, because I didn't like him based on. I used to think it was like, yeah, when I was a younger person, I like these patriarchs, these men. When I listen to his language, there's a lot of flexibility in his language. There's a lot of if and but a parameter. You do this, and we have that, and you do this, we have that. It's very clear. You go to that position, we go to this position, you go to this position, we go to that position. Now, I don't have to like what he does, and I don't have to believe what he does, and I don't even have to understand what he does, but I can totally say, like, I like the strategy. It's not like this or that, which is creating a lot of war in this world. I know a lot of people who switch it off right now. Oh my goodness, this woman said Putin. But I like to look at this world and look for the best ideas and strategies wherever I get that from. My country was against his country for a long time. We put up the best, like, or the worst battle of modern times against his nation. So I'm not invested in that guy. But I pick up wisdom from wherever I see it as a human being and make it a part of my repertoire. I hope that is the correct pronunciation. I'm a Pakistani. I pick up accents and pronunciations from wherever I can. That is also one approach, by the way. Make your basket. I should put that down in my perfected class. So be flexible, communicate it, and you can give people like a flexible time, or you can give like them a range of payments. I am incorporating the flex thing in my website, wherein I would give them a range of options, like a range of choice of payment. Like you can pay from 75 to 77 to $111 for a session or a certain kind of session. And that's it. You have a choice. You can play around, be human within that time. And I also grant myself that choice. I'm not going to respond to you right away, and don't send me an email say, did you receive it? And I'm not going to send you an email say, receive it. I will expect that you have seen it and you will respond in time. Well, if you don't respond in 5 days, I may write to you, or I may just pass on because I'm very busy doing things. If you don't respond to me, you're off my books. Not in a bad sense, but I'm like, okay, that person, if that person had seen it, they'd respond to it. Now, I would then start adding to my algorithm of how I deal with people, like Does it help to send this person reminders? Some people want to be sent reminders. Some people are too anxious. Like there are all sorts of things going on with the world. So I have to look at my world and then see what kind of people am I surrounded with? What kind of contracts do I have with them? And I hopefully am the kind of person who, like this aroma diffuser, keeps on discharging good values and ideas into the world around me until people start believing and saying it. Then I better have a way of getting compliance out of them, saying that if you don't do things in a certain way, I will move from here. I'll move my commitment to you. I will move my investment from here. I'll move my dollars or something. Or you will not have me on board. I value my time. I value my commitment. I value my presence. I value my existence in this world. And I'll move things away. So when you do things like this, by the way, value your time, value the basket of energy that you have, and be ready to shift it around if you're not getting what you want. Like you need a quantum of outcomes from this world. Don't just keep on falling down. Flexible doesn't mean that you keep on giving and giving and giving. I tell this to people. Being kind-hearted doesn't mean you keep on giving. You just bounce back and say, well, this is going to be my limit. Or I've asked you to respond to my proposal, but this is my time. These are my conditions. Beyond this condition, I'm going to flip into that. So if you can answer me about that time, that's fine. But if you can't, then that's okay. And if you have trouble, tell me what the trouble is and we'll see if we can fix it, if it's appropriate for me to fix it. So you need to submit a project to me. This is a flexible schedule. Like, do you have trouble? Like, don't you have a computer to work with? I'm your boss. Like, don't you have a computer to work? Do you need more budget or something? If you need a better budget, let me know. And it's my job to provide it. Because if I didn't, then it's expected that you will not perform. And I've dealt with bosses who are like, what do you need? Do you need a computer? Nah, I'm not going to give you a computer. And then they're like, why didn't you do your report? I've dealt with bosses like that. Well, I didn't deal with it because it's not my job to come up with a computer for your job. The fact that I'm doing my work at home for you is like something you owe me for that. And then I need to have the courage to say, excuse me, sir, this really happened to me in one of my jobs. And I regret it now because I just didn't know how to work. Like I needed to be taught, right? I couldn't imagine a scenario in which I'll have to tell my boss that in order for me to work in your company, I need a desk and a chair, and I don't have it. And they said, well, people are so motivated in our company to get things done anyway. It happened to me in a media house that I was working in. Eventually, I left. I said, if I can't even sit here and if I can't even stand here and I have to go home and work until 3 a.m. to get this work, I don't know what am I doing. You know what I could have done? They offered it to me after I quit. I was like, I'm going to work from home anyway. You pay me for that, and you pay me 4 or 5 times more so I can make an office at home that'll work for you. In fact, you pay me better. I'll be a digital nomad. I'll go around. I will work like 3 or 4 hours a day, but I'll do my top work with my best concentration, drinking a cocktail, getting my feet massaged, putting oil in my hair. My brain will work faster, and I'll do that. So we'll have a fixed outcome. This is a performance outcome. That can also be like, this is one of the ways we can have flexible. Like, I don't want you to turn up at this office, sit on this desk, sit in this chair. So, what we can do in one iteration of it is we can say the outcome is fixed, but the path that you take to it is flexible. I need you to submit a marketing report to me on Feb 28, 24, 2024 by 10 a.m. And I don't care how you do it, but this I don't care how you do it doesn't mean you go to hell. But it's just like, I'm not invested into what path you take to heaven. It's my job to help you out as much as I can, unless you're like an independent contractor, you should need to have your own office or something. In that case, too, if I'm a big buyer, I can help you strengthen yourself so you can do this work, which is very valuable to me. I'm going back in retrospect and looking at all the troubles and issues that I had in my path in that particular organization. There were lots of it because I had a lot of challenges. And I wanted to help them in a lot of ways. So I keep on going back to it. 20 years later, I'm like, this is what I could have done better. It wasn't a do or die situation. It's not do or die. You can negotiate. As a boss, as an employee, as a giver, as a taker, like both sides, you can negotiate. A little bit of bobbing up and down. It's okay. Okay. But that bobbing should not be confused with being infirm or becoming infirm on purpose or just dodging things around. And if you have that, you need to ask yourself some bigger question like, who am I? What am I doing? Why am I doing it? Did I really even want to be here? Am I capable? How did I get here? Am I physically okay? Am I mentally okay? Like, what is my problem? Am I okay in my body? Am I okay in this atmosphere? Because I have had experiences of various sorts too. I'm still looking for answers like, what happened? What I did find out immediately after I left my job was like I was a very organic person. I just didn't want to be indoors. I wanted to be outdoors. I wanted to be more flexible. When I'm flexible, I do better. So what I did, for example, I got out of a canned atmosphere in my office, and I also made my flexible in one way by, for example, I when I started teaching, I was called for guest classes in MBA, and I said, "Well, I'm going to teach them, but in a garden, and not in a classroom." So I would take people out, and it was a big thing for the rigid MBA school that went to. I would take people out to gardens, and I would make them sit down. I was like, "It's a more organic environment. We're going to talk about the same thing that we're going to talk about, but we're going to engage the environment. It's like more flexible, more relaxed. I don't know, even more like organic. Three, or maybe two B. Organic, natural. Hold on, natural, open, relaxed. That is one more way that we can make things perfected. I left my corporate office back in 2005. I was already feeling some kind of viral thing um, uh, that took place in 2004, like the SARS virus went around the world. I was in Karachi, a major cosmopolitan, metropolitan, whatever people call it, seaside, oceanside mega city. And no wonder, I'm pretty sure that virus had come and crept in there. There were a lot of people falling ill. And I left my job at that time. I mean, a year after I started getting infected, I did get infected. And I was like, I'm very ill and I had to leave. And I was like, this seems to be something meaningful. And I figured out a lot of things. I was like, it's better to work from home and I have a better open environment and I can breathe properly. So you can also, by the way, make your physical environment more flexible. It's not just the brain work that you have to do, but the body work. Body work. Give it ease. Okay. I'm going to take a screenshot here. Save this and save the screen. Holy moly. Perfected. Hold on. So yeah, this is perfected. And we're going to jump to a third idea, after which we'll conclude this class for now, and you can get more details in the upcoming course that I would make on perfected. Sophie, we need to wipe this once again. Sophie, we need to wipe this once again. Okay, so the third thing, I have a few things to talk about. I will, yeah. The last one, I'm going to put it this. Hold on, Sophie, I'm going to put it on the same screen, right? Give me the red one. Can you help me with that marker? Give me the red one, please. Give me the red one.
We don't have the red one.
It must be on the floor somewhere. Yeah, it's over here. It's over here in this corner. Okay, here we go. Yeah, so, uh, hold on. The third one is constant improvement. You make one version of something, version one, and then you make a version 2, and then a version 3, or 3B and C and D, and then you keep on improving it. You go back to it like, oh, I had a better idea, I had a better idea. And you can even note, like at the end of my pages, I say this is the latest version, this has been updated at this date of time, and it keeps on changing. I had a website on the first page of which I wrote, this website keeps on shape shifting. Right? I don't change the contract. And if they were going to be a change in contract, I would hope to dear God that I have a way of alerting people that this contract has changed. That makes sense. You have markets like the stock market and other places where things do change because we human beings agreed that things can change here. And we agreed that this is okay, this is more organic, this is how things work. So, constant improvement is one way in which, for example, the Japanese people do things and they make a system, they make a system that works, and they come back to it and they keep on improving it. This is the second version. Oh, when I went to Toyota, I did a study of the Toyota manufacturing system. They said we come back to it and we improve the thing. We would make a different kind of paint for the Toyota car. We would improve the nuts and bolts a little bit. Obviously, the first version is integrated enough and it works. It doesn't not work. So you have something that is good enough that works, and then you come back to it and then you keep on improving it. This is why the cars keep on changing every year or so. You keep on shifting it with time also because times and energies change. So you come back to the thing and you keep on improving it. You keep improving your recipe. You can make versions of it. I would make another version of this class. The first version that I've delivered live. Right. So I'll do another version of it. I'm going to conclude this class here. The battery is low and I've got to go, and we are almost on time. We promised 1.5 hours. Well, it's less than 1.5 hours. We've done about an hour of it, but seems good enough. I don't want to take a lot more of your time. I think this is good enough, short and punchy, 1 hour of learning how to be perfected. And this brings some more flexibility and lack of anxiety in your life. Again, communicate it. Don't just change things on your website, just say things keep on changing on this website. You can have a pop up or something, and then you can communicate that to your community. Just let them know I'm this kind of person. I shift things, but I communicate them. And I don't shortchange people. Unless you say to people that today it looks better to me that I'm going to be attending to fewer people. And so this change is going to be effective in a week or a month's time. I will start disappearing from public eye or whatever. Now, what happens when things are sudden from the other party or you doing it to the other? I would say that if you go back and look back at the process, you would say, like, where does the suddenness come from? If there's a lot of suddenness, there's a lot of breakdown, and there's probably a lot of lack of awareness or a lack of power over the events of your own life or over your own life, in which case you have to understand where is your power, how are you going to take it back? Or are you de facto disempowered, which can also be the case in certain communities and lives and societies? In which case, we might need to do some collective work, or we might need to shift from certain circumstances or organizations or households or places like, I don't have power here. What you can also do is to admit that while you don't have power, and you say, well, in this community or society or whatever, this is the extent of my power. So I am going to operate within these parameters. What I'm going to suggest to people based on my extensive life experience by this point, I've turned this thing around a little bit. Based on my extensive life experience, is like communicate things to people. Don't let them sit in the dark. Don't let people like me sit in the dark thinking, why aren't you turning up with something? Human beings need to become more expressive and communicative and more vulnerable and be more at ease with talking to each other instead of making it a matter of pride or manliness or womanliness to not talk. We're teaching ourselves a lot of bad values, right? You're a good man, you shouldn't talk. You shouldn't tell anybody what you're suffering from. Women, be quiet. God is watching, God is doing this. Like, God isn't here to mess up your relationships. God isn't saying, tell everything to me, don't even talk to each other. That's not what God is saying. And a society that is touched by God talks to each other. Like our body cells talk to each other. It's not like this white cells like, I'm not gonna talk, I'm not gonna communicate. Our bodies talk and they're expressive. Like not all the time, don't have a chatter. Generally it's like a calm space. In fact, mostly it's calm until you need to move. But within themselves they're communicating. And being your own self is probably the strongest form of communication. And being your whole self, expressed self. Not expressed doesn't mean you loud. Expressed means realized, fully occupying yourself, being yourself, ready with your values. When people come to you and they say, make me an omelette, they get a good omelette. They're like, I don't know how to break an egg. Why not? Like, I don't know how to keep a promise. Why not? If you're a student, I don't know how to report. Like, how did you land into a master's program if you don't know how to write a report? The other day, I've hired a web development guy. So I said, well, you make pages for me in this program called WordPress. So we have like main pages and then we have sub pages and then we can have sub pages, right? So you can have something like my website is Hubb'Allah.com. So Hubb'Allah slash offerings slash hive mind. So offerings is like the main page and then hive mind is a sub page. So I made a table of contents in Word and I said, well, I'll show you what I made. Let me show you what I made. I said, okay, uh, offering, and then it was like in caps and bold, and then hive mind is an offering, and another offering was called Jerusalem, Jerusalem, and then I had another main page called courses. So he said, okay, I've done this. I go to the website and this is like the main page, this is like the main page, this is a sub page, like all of them are equal. I was like, you put all of them up equal. Like, I can't understand where's what. And it's like, I don't know. I said, didn't I show you the document? It's like, which page is the main page, which is the sub page? I said, God, this is in caps, it's in bold, and it's on the left. That is the main page. And this is a baby. It's on the right. And I said, in WordPress, we can sub pages. We can even call them like, I don't know, child pages. This is a parent, this is a child. And I said, for God's sake, before you start laughing at me, this is like actual WordPress terms. Parent category, child category. Thank God he didn't laugh at me because he was laughing copiously. And I was like, God, you don't know that. And he's like, you should have told me. I said, if I have to tell you at this day, in this day and age, and at your age, and with your so called experience, that this is the main page and that is a baby, I don't know what to do. So I said, let me tell you, what is left aligned is the dad, and that's the baby, and that's the baby's baby. And I said, this is how I'm going to tell that to you. I was like, I don't, he said, you should have told it to me. That's a communication gap. Okay. I am speechless. So if you do not have certain knowledge to turn up for a job, then I don't know what to say. And I would say to you, when people do these things, I was in the mood for patronizing him for a while, but then fire those people. And I did. And I was like, you know what? You can keep the money. I will pay you money to get off my project because I do not want to take a dip. Being flexible is something else. Being kind is something else. Saying to people, okay, you can submit your report tomorrow. But for them to say, like, I don't even know, is this a math class? It's like, yeah, okay. Are you a math? You know what I mean? Because I get tough with it. I'm a serious woman. I was like, I have a trucker side to me that is going to come out and put you in your place. So one of the things I would say is that don't take these things for granted. Don't let people take you for granted. If you are giving them flexibility, let them know. Hold on, let me write that down as well. If you need flexibility, if you need flexibility, ability, ask. If you grant flexibility, tell. Don't be quiet, right? And I've seen this in the Himalayan communities that I'm in, and I'm like, at first it seemed a bit threatening to me. They were like, um, I'm doing this for you today, and I will not be able to do this for you tomorrow. I mean, that actually happened to me in Africa, South Africa. I went there, and I was in a sandwich shop, right? So they could put some certain toppings on your sandwich. And I said, well, they said, we'll put 3 toppings. And I was like, man, I would like 4. He said, oh man, I want 4. I said, I've come here from Pakistan, and I don't think I'd be in this shop again for a while at least. So he said, well, I'm gonna put 4 toppings in you, for you, but just for today. And that phrase, just for today, it landed deep into my heart. I was like, that is a big lesson for me right there. Because I've come from very rigid systems. I wouldn't say life was too hard for me. I would say things were very easy for me too, but it was like one thing. This is it, and that's the easy peasy thing. Then I was like, I actually want something tough, but I don't want something rigid. And people never got it, and I couldn't understand what I wanted either. I was like, and that comes from communication, very active, very live communication, and putting forward your conditions as well. Like, if you need, don't just assume it. Don't say to people, well,